So this will be our last video of the story Destructors. Probably pretty short as well. And I want to talk about character. I haven't talked about that yet. Usually it's one of the first things I talk about. As I think about who's static and who's dynamic, I don't know that the characters themselves actually change, but I think that their roles in the group change throughout the story. I've already talked about how Blackie is the leader, and then he loses his leadership role when T has the plan to destroy the house, so T becomes the leader, and then eventually T falls from that pedestal, and he and Blackie sort of, co-lead together. In fact, on that page that I quoted, it seems like there's no need for a leader, right? They're not caught up in this idea of leading. And so the roles of different people change. Blackie's role changes, T's role changes, but even Mike, we haven't talked about Mike yet, but Mike's role changes. He's afraid to open his mouth or to speak because they say that they'll stuff a frog down it, right? And even on the second day of the destruction, he doesn't show up, right? Because his family is traveling. But then what happens? He actually plays a very important role at the end of the story because he's the one that comes back and alerts the gang that Mr. Thomas is coming back. And so even though Mike is sort of looked down upon for a large part of the story, his role changes as well. So when we think about characters in this story, I don't know that the characters are really changing, their personalities are changing or their outlook is changing. I think they probably stay the same, but the way other people view them or the way other people accept them changes. So I don't know if I would consider those dynamic characters, but I do think it's interesting to see the way the dynamics of the group change and how people assume different roles at different times.